Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for American Horror Story Freak Show, Episode 12, Showstoppers. And I was looking forward to this episode because I really liked the last episode, and I was hoping that this one would be really good. And I will admit, a lot of things in this episode I really, really enjoyed. There was some stuff that was very well done, and I really enjoyed that stuff. The stuff that I really enjoyed, I really did enjoy. However, for everything I did enjoy, there was some stuff that was just handled terribly tonight. This episode had way too much going on. I'm gonna say that right now. Way too much going on that could have been saved for the finale, and it literally seemed like, and I understand why it had too much going on, because those two episodes where nothing happened, episodes 9 and 10, that were very much just filler, could have had stuff from this episode in it. If they would have introduced Chester maybe in episode 9, then I feel like this episode could have been not as complicated as it was. But let's just get to it. Now, I love the way this episode started. The way this episode started, I was like, okay, I really love how this is starting. Because it starts with Stanley. He arrives at the circus to join the Freaks in a celebration because, Elsa's leaving. It's for Elsa's new TV gig, but it's also for the arrival of Chester, of course, who is now the new owner. Because Elsa's planning to leave to LA, and Chester's taking over and everything. And I thought this was a good scene overall. I mean, I don't think we've seen a lot of scenes since, I'd say, episode, I don't think we've seen a real scene of the Freaks feeling like a family since, episode 6. And finally, I think we finally saw a scene of them acting like a real family. So quickly, Elsa asks Chester to leave the room, and basically, she throws this whole welcoming party for Stanley, but I'm like, there's definitely something going on there. And you can quickly tell that all the Freaks now know the truth about Stanley, and I love this. I thought this was great. Because Maggie finally spoke up about it, and she finally told them the truth, and I knew that Maggie would do this, because Maggie just randomly told Desiree, why would she not tell, the rest of the Freaks? So he tries to leave, but Elsa insists he stayed, receives his present. He's pretty creeped out at what's going on. So it's the severed head of the woman from the Museum of Morbid Curiosities, and I'm like, that's awesome revenge there. What they did is they basically did what he did to, what ended up happening to the other people that died. They put her head in a bag and everything, and basically, they put Stanley on the bullseye, and I thought they were just going to kill Stanley right then and there, but they don't kill him. She throws a knife right into his leg, and the Freaks close in. He tries to tell them that Elsa killed Ethel. They don't listen, they don't think it's true. They think that he's just saying this, and I like that he said this. And Elsa demands that he attempt to run for his life, which he does until the Freaks corner him. And basically, that's how the episode started. And I thought that was a very good way to start the episode. And Elsa, sends them down to, run after him. It was really, really awesome the way the episode was starting. I was like, okay, this is going to probably be the best episode of the season. And then things just got a little bit boring, because then we go to Jimmy. And Jimmy's pretty furious that Elsa reveals that they killed Dell. But of course, it makes sense why they killed Dell. He is lying about it. He doesn't want to think that it's true. And I think it's just because it seems like everyone that Jimmy loves dies. I mean, think about it. He was so close with Ethel, she died, and he was starting to get close with Dell, and now he's died. So he really is no one now. And he's saying that Maggie's a liar, and he doesn't believe her. And Elsa points out that since he has no parents, she must take care of him now, insisting that he accept Maggie is a caretaker for his wounds. And I'm just like, seriously? We're gonna bring this storyline back? Seriously. I liked last week when Maggie had nothing to do, and now she's getting stuff to do, and I'm just like, ugh. It was really annoying. She explains her plans to have a friend make new hands for him so he can be a leader once again. And basically, he wants to be the one to run the Freak Show. Of course, he wants to take it from Elsa, and I thought that was definitely very interesting. So once Elsa leaves, Maggie tries to get Jimmy to forgive her, but he blames her for the loss of his hands and the death of his friends, like Ma Petite, and she says that she will make things right with the two of them. And I like they finally addressed, who she was. It seemed like for a while they weren't addressing, it seemed like she would just randomly switch character traits. She would randomly turn to a nice character. Then she'd be back to the bitch. Then she'd be back to being a good character. And I like that finally, Jimmy tells her that he does not trust her. She's telling him that they're going to make things right, but I'm just like, bitch, you're not going to do anything. Because Seriously, Jimmy wants nothing to do with Maggie, and I'm happy that Jimmy said no to Maggie. I honestly thought that they were gonna, do the thing where I honestly thought that, the biggest cop out that they could do for the storyline is have Jimmy and Maggie suddenly get back together and run away to jail. I mean, not run away to jail, run away to LA like they wanted to. That's the biggest cop out they could do with this. But that's not what they did, and I'm very happy they didn't do that because it would have been a huge cop out, and I'm happy they didn't. So meanwhile, Chester is having sex with Ben Dot, and Ben Dot tell him that he should probably set down Marjorie because it's kind of creeping them out, and he believes loves him, and Marjorie's furious afterwards, claiming that they're only using him. She accuses him of the murder of his wife and her lover, and Marjorie and Chester agree that Ben Dot have to go. He plans on killing them, and we find in this episode that it's not Chester that's obsessed with Marjorie, it's that Chester is a nutcase. Absolute nutcase, and he would if this was American Horror Story Asylum, he would most likely be in that season because Chester is a nutcase, and we find that out in this episode. Now, what did I feel about that? I kind of was upset about that because I liked how Chester's character was written last week. I like how he was so attached to this doll, and it really seemed like, his attachment, and he didn't seem crazy. It just seemed like this doll was talking to him or was possessing him or something like that. It seemed real. But tonight we find out that no, that doll is not actually talking to him, and none of what we saw last week is not real. So I thought that was kind of dumb and kind of just a cop-out. It really just seemed like a cop-out to me, and I wasn't happy with that. So that was kind of disappointing. I gotta say, they kind of ruined Chester's storyline tonight. They did, and I'm happy I'm happy with the work he did, but they kind of ruined his storyline tonight, and I was very upset because I loved his storyline last week, and they ruined it tonight. So Paul, Susie, and the other freaks are having a few drinks when they begin to discuss the accusations that Elsa killed Ethel, and eventually agreeing that, yeah, she could have done something like that. I mean, all of the clues make them seem like that, and I like seeing that the freaks are not dumb, because really, if you think about it, the whole thing, I mean, the freaks are not dumb, and I like they showed that in this episode. So basically, they decide they're going to band together and kill Elsa, and I'm just like, this honestly should have just been a storyline in the season finale. I feel like that's how it should have ended, with them trying to kill Elsa, and then the events of what happens to Elsa happen in the season finale. This really seemed like a season finale plot, and not really a penultimate episode. And I gotta say, this episode did not feel like a penultimate episode. It really didn't at all. There was some stuff that did, but not a lot did. So, Dandy visits Ben Dodd in their tent, and he claims that Gloria's passing inspired them to be better to those he loves. And I really like seeing this. I mean, they really wrote Dandy very well, and honestly, I'm starting to care for Dandy's character, and I think that Dandy might actually end up becoming, like, not as crazy. He bring them information on Chester. He tells them he's a sicko, and they refuse to listen, and, they say they want nothing to do with him. He blows them a kiss and leaves, and, I thought that was interesting. So, then we meet Massimo, Dolfino, of course, Dolcefino, who of course was the man that made Elsa's legs, and I kind of find it interesting that Danny Houston's playing him because, of course, Fiona and the Axemen last season. So the second he showed up, I'm like, are we going to get another relationship between them? But I'm happy they didn't focus on that because that's not the main focus of Elsa's storyline. So basically, he makes it to the circus to build Jimmy's hands. They visit him where he's only barely conscious enough to discuss the procedure with them, and Elsa reveals one of her legs to Jimmy, explaining that Massimo saved her life and even taught her to walk again. So Massimo tells the tale of how he slowly hunted down each of Elsa's torturers until the last one, Hans Gruber, captured him and tortured him too. So Massimo eventually escaped, and now he has no soul, so he can never love again. And I thought that was interesting that they did that. That was a very, very interesting twist, and I thought it was interesting that they did that, what happened there. Because I'm like, okay, now he's not going to be in love with Elsa. So I like that they're connecting, Asylum to Freak Show, but that was another way of doing it, but I thought that was a very good twist, actually, because I'm like, I really don't want a relationship between them, and there wasn't, which I liked. So Ben and Dot are starting to have second thoughts about Chester after Danny's visit. After Danny's visit, they're kind of thinking, you know what, Danny might have a point here. And I like they thought that. I like they didn't just think, oh, Danny has no idea what he's talking about. Because you know what, yeah, he has a point. He's pretty much crazy. So they asked to no longer be his magic assistant, refusing to get in the box for the sawing in half trick, and he's freaking out. And of all people, who else would take their place? Of course, it's Maggie. And the second that Maggie's like, I'll take your place, I'm laughing like, seriously, Maggie, are you really that dumb? Like, we know Maggie's dumb. Maggie is the dumbest character on this show. And what happens during the scene was inevitable, okay? It was inevitable to happen. I predicted it was going to happen the second that she said this, and basically he sends the rest of the freaks off back to the backstage to basically do a what he calls like a rough draft, I think he called it. So he begins to see his wife, her lover, and Marjorie repeatedly in Maggie's place, kind of showing the regret and remorse he has for killing them. And he never actually sees or addresses Maggie. So when he's doing this, he doesn't realize it's Maggie. He thinks he's kind of hallucinating here. So he violently saws her in half, and Maggie is dead. And I couldn't be happier. I'm gonna be honest. Maggie's character was just so boring for me. She never really did it for me. There was never, the only episode I really liked her was the beginning arc when she was working with Stanley. That's when I liked her. Then when she became the nicest person ever, she became so annoying. And I'm happy they decided to kill off Maggie because I just couldn't take her anymore. I couldn't take her, and I'm happy they did it. So, but the thing is with Maggie's death, it doesn't really go anywhere from there. Maggie's dead, and Chester feels bad about it. It doesn't really go anywhere else from there. And he violently saws her in half. The freaks are responding to her screams. Chester pulls apart the two parts of the boxes to reveal her splitting entrails. And Marjorie's cackling in the audience. You know, he's like, she made me do it. But no one sees her. You know, they think that Chester's basically just crazy. So, the freaks, though, aren't too remorseful. I love that Desiree's just like she had it coming, because, yes, she did. I love that Desiree said that. Talking about how they should steal her jewelry. Just, you gotta love Desiree. I love Desiree, and I thought that was great what she said. I love seeing that, because it's true, really. Maggie, she had it coming. You knew she had to die, and I knew that I was hoping that Maggie would die. I didn't think they were going to kill her off, though. I thought that they were going to keep her on the show the whole time, and I'm happy they killed her off, because she added nothing to the show, and she did nothing for me. And when you kill a character off that did nothing for me, then I'm actually very happy about it. So Chester follows Marjorie back to his tent before stabbing her until she's unresponsive, and he then realizes that he killed Marjorie. And when he did that, you know, he has this huge look in his face like, what the hell did I just do? And he's freaking out about it. And you gotta feel bad for the guy. You do, because, I mean, he's crazy, and he thinks this puppet means something to him. And I think the reason the puppet means something to him is because of the metal chip in his head. Clearly, that metal chip in his head made him go crazy, because his wife, he had a vision of his wife talking to him, and I kind of feel like what his wife was saying was what he was thinking. Kind of what he thinks of himself, because his wife talks about how he should have died, how he went crazy when they put a metal chip in his head. Because if you remember, they put a metal chip in his head after he had that brain injury from the war and everything. So pretty much that's what he thinks of himself. He thinks that he went crazy because of that. And I thought I mean, you gotta feel bad for the guy because I thought that was very, very good writing. I definitely really enjoyed that. So Eve visits Jimmy to tell him that Maggie's dead, but he doesn't care. And I'm happy that Jimmy didn't care, because it wouldn't have made sense if Jimmy had cared, because Jimmy really didn't care about Maggie anymore. He didn't care what she did, and nobody cared about her. So I'm happy that no one really cared. So he's remembering his mother when Eve tells him that Elsa will be the next one to die, and by the way, Maggie's death, it's kind of interesting. I'm trying to figure out which death was funnier, Madison's or Maggie's. Now, Madison died from being choked to death by Kyle, and Maggie died from being split in half. I gotta say, Maggie's death was probably funnier. I mean, Maggie's death I was laughing at the whole time. I was laughing the whole time. I loved it. I mean, when Desiree said that line, I loved it. So, this scene was very interesting what happened here, you know. He thinks back to when his mother, remembering his mother, when Eve tells him that Elsa will be the next one to die, and you kind of see a flashback of his first performance and how close he was to his mother and how much she cared about him. And I think he was trying to see this because it made him realize that, yeah, he really does miss her, and he really feels bad that Elsa, you know, he's pissed that Elsa killed her. So, Ben and Doc go to Elsa in her tent, and they find out that she doesn't have any legs. They find out that she is paralyzed, and I thought that was well done overall. I like the Ben and Dot Ben out, because Ben and Dot are really, I mean, they're the main characters of this show, so I'm happy they found out, and they tell Elsa that the others are after her, and the twins believe that by giving her this warning, the three of them are even, and nearby Desiree rallies the freaks to Elsa's tent, but when they get there, of course, Elsa's gone, because they tell her, you gotta go away, they're planning to kill you, and Elsa's gone, and Chester's covered in blood. He takes Marjorie's body to the bewildered police, and this is the crazy scene of the episode. He's confessing to the murder, and the police are looking at him like, what the hell is wrong with you? Because, seriously, we see them open the thing, and it's just a puppet. there's nothing there. I mean, her body was just a puppet the whole time, and the fact that we found that out, I thought was actually a very good twist because it shows that just Chester is a crazy person. He's crazy, he's not sane, he's senile, and I like seeing that. However, I really hope this is not the end of his storyline because I want to see where they take this. If that's the end of his storyline, that was kind of anticlimactic. I feel like it is, though, because they did this in Coven last year. They killed off Madame LaLaurie and they killed off I can't think of her, Marie in episode 12, and then they didn't show him in episode 13. So I kind of feel like they're going to do the same thing here, and I really hope they don't do that because I like Chester's character. But knowing American Horror Story, that yeah, they'll probably do that, and it's really disappointing the season has not been good. It really is disappointing because scenes like that really made me think of how good the season could have been. Chester's character really made me realize how good the season could have been, and unfortunately, it didn't work. So in the morning, we get the best scene in the episode. I loved this scene. This was awesome. Probably my favorite scene in the episode by far. Danny shows up to share that he bought the show from Elsa for $10,000, and basically Elsa got in the car with Elsa. Basically Danny got in the car with Elsa, and he drove her to LA, I think, and basically he is enabling her to get away quickly. He appears to take inventory as he now owns everything, including the performers' contracts, and I thought that was awesome because it's just like, Danny's gonna take over now. What is he gonna do? Holy shit, what's he gonna do now? He's probably gonna do some more puppet stuff. I definitely feel he's gonna see some Twisty in the final episode because Ryan Murphy said we were gonna see Twisty again and we didn't. So I think we're gonna see Twisty again in Danny's flashbacks because we have to. So Danny hears a whimpering sound, and when he follows it, finds Stanley in a cage, who Stanley, completely mutilated, made to share attributes with many of the freaks, no hands, no legs, no tongue. So he's basically Stanley. I mean, he's basically, Spalding from season 3 combined with Jimmy mixed with Elsa. So he's basically 3 of them now. And if that's the end of Stanley's character, then great, because I didn't care about him very much either, and I like that it happened to Stanley, because he deserved it, he really did, and just him, moaning and things like that, I thought was actually a really awesome way to end his storyline. If that's the end of his storyline, then I'm fine with that, because I didn't really care about his character. So basically, the episode ends in a really weird note. I'm like, that's the ending. Jimmy reveals the new hands are made for him by Massimo, 2 new lobster claws, and that's literally how it ends. Why did the episode end that way? The episode could have ended perfectly with Dandy. I mean, that would have been a perfect ending, and then they ended with Jimmy. I didn't understand that. So overall, guys, this episode was very, very mixed for me. There was a lot of stuff I really liked. I liked the way Chester's storyline was handled. I thought that was very well done. Kind of worried about that, but I thought that was really well handled. Elsa's and Dandy's storyline was by far the best part of this episode. I loved it. I wasn't really invested in Jimmy's storyline, though, I gotta say. Jimmy's storyline, I just was not invested in tonight. I didn't like it. I didn't care about it. Maggie dying, I didn't care about. It was awesome that she died, but I didn't care about that, really. I didn't feel we had enough of the Stanley stuff. I wanted to see more of them torturing Stanley for what he did, and we didn't get that. And let me talk about my initial problem with this season, because it's back, and I want to talk about what my problem is. They're not taking this season seriously. And there are many times they've been doing it. They don't take this season as seriously as they should. See, when I came into the season, I initially thought the season was going to be about basically the freaks and their emotions and how we connect to each one of them. And they haven't really done that. What they've done is they made every single character fucking psycho. That's what they've done. And they haven't really made us care about any of the characters. I mean, they did in the first few episodes, but after that, it's like, nope, they're just all crazy. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I think it's dumb. And then they made every single character wooden, and I'm really not looking forward to the finale. I can't wait for the season to be over. It's really disappointing how bad this season has been, but this episode was very subpar for me. A lot of stuff was very, very rushed, and I'm going to talk about why. Those 2 episodes, episodes 9 and 10, that were really, really, slow and boring, could have easily had some of the stuff in here. If they would have introduced Chester in episode 9, I feel like we could have gotten a much better storyline with him. His character could have been much more fleshed out, and I would have liked his character more. And I really liked his character, but I wanted to see definitely more of him, and if that's the end of him, I really hope it's not. The whole thing with Elsa could have been done in episode 13. Honestly, I feel a satisfying conclusion would be Elsa in LA. Us seeing one more shot of Elsa in LA, because now I feel like we're not going to get any Elsa in the finale. I feel like Elsa's just going to be in LA and we're going to get like one quick shot of her. Keep in mind, guys, I did not see the promo. When I don't like the episode, I don't really watch the promo because I don't care. So, I don't know what to say about that. Dandy owning the Freaks is gonna be awesome, but this episode really just, I was not into it. I wasn't into it like I wanted to be, and I wasn't as invested as last week. But maybe you were, guys. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. Overall, very, very mixed for me. Very subpar. But that's to be expected because this is usually when American Horror Story gets bad. But this show is really starting to improve, and now it's back to just being an okay show. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be, I guess, not till Friday or maybe tomorrow. No, actually, yeah, it'll be for tomorrow because I'm gonna review whatever movies get nominated for the Oscars tomorrow. I'm gonna review one of them tomorrow, so you guys can look forward to that. And then I'll review, and then my next review won't be till Glee. So I'll see you guys in my next review. Okay, bye.